Hi, I'm Richard Maraj, Senior Minister at Unity of Phoenix Spiritual Center, and I want to thank you for visiting our website and for tuning in to today's message. If you feel inspired by today's talk, I really encourage you to make a donation by hitting that button below and making a contribution to this ministry. It'll allow us to continue these messages online and to do the great work we do here at Unity of Phoenix, which is to inspire people to live better lives. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for your support, and we hope to see you at a Sunday real soon.
Morning again, everyone. And a shout out to everybody who tunes in and watches us online. So this woman is really angry at her husband because she feels she's being taken for granted. And she's even more upset these days because they're spending less and less time because he's working late every night, including this night. So she decides to leave him a note that says, "I have had enough. I have left you and don't bother trying to come after me." And then she hid under the bed to see what his reaction would be. In a few minutes, the husband came home and she could hear him fiddling around in the kitchen before he came into the bedroom. And from under the bed, she could see him as he walked over to the dresser and read the note. And after a couple of minutes, he actually wrote something on the note and then made a phone call and said, "Oh, I'm so happy. She's finally gone. It's about time. I want you to get dressed up because we are going to celebrate and have a great time tonight." And he grabs his keys and he heads out the door and he drives away. And so she can hear him as he drives away as she gets out of the bed, and she is seething with rage. She is absolutely devastated, and she walks over to the dresser to see what he wrote on the note, and it said, "I could see your feet under the bed. We need some more bread. I'll be back in 5 minutes." Every one of us, like this woman, wants some part of our lives to get better. We want our relationships together, our health, our career, our finances. We want to enjoy life. We want things to improve and get better, but we don't always know how to go about and doing it. We don't know what the secret is, the answer is to manifest or to attract or create all the things that we would like. We've been talking about Napoleon Hill, how he was looking for the secret to success by interviewing 500 very successful people of the time, directed by the steel magnate Andrew Carnegie, and it was chronicled in his book, Think and Grow Rich. And here's a secret he came up with, and that is that human beings have access to what he called the infinite intelligence, a level of potential and inspiration and possibility and wisdom and guidance that was beyond the human intellect, beyond the human mind. And you could call it God, you could call it the field of infinite possibilities, you could call it the life force, creative intelligence, you can call it whatever it is you want to call it, that there is no question that we have access to some higher mind and power that has infinite possibilities and goodness for us to connect with. And he had talked about a MasterMind power, which was a process, a systematic process to help us align our minds to tap into the mind of God, to tap in to the mastermind to access all these greater possibilities. The Apostle Paul once said, "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." It is through the renewing of our minds that we can literally transform our lives. And as great as our minds are, sometimes they can work well for us, but sometimes they can work against us. Anybody ever have so much stuff on your mind that you just couldn't think straight or even concentrate? Anybody have so much mental noise you couldn't even feel inner peace at all? So the mind is a beautiful and powerful thing, but this mastermind process helps us develop a place where we can quiet the mind, that way we can calm our mind and open our mind and align it so we can really tap in and access all this incredible potential and possibilities and wisdom and love and light and all the good we could ever imagine. And then when he talks about then doing it in a group, that we literally multiply and magnify the power of all of our capacities to actually do it when we do it together. We so believe in this process. After each service, for 10 minutes, we run through that process, that 7-step process, to help align our minds to get clearer and become a greater channel to tap into this wisdom. This process was created by Reverend Jack Boland, and he took the 12 steps and kind of married them in a spiritual process, and it is called the MasterMind Principle and the MasterMind process. And so we're going to actually do it during this service, but I want to review the 4 first steps, and then I'll do the last 3, and then we'll actually practice the process of how to use the power of the MasterMind. And so the first one is to surrender. I surrender. And this whole idea about surrender, that word is kind of charged with a connotation of giving up, being weak. You're not tough enough. You're surrendering. You're settling. You're really not trying. And it's actually the opposite. It is spiritual surrender is one of the most powerful and liberating of all spiritual practices. It is about a letting go at 3 levels. Number 1, it is about releasing all the anxiety and stress and worry that we often hold. It is about stopping resisting. It's about stopping struggling and fighting and forcing life to be the way we want. And it's also about letting go of our need for control and letting go of our attachment to how exactly we think things should be, how people should behave, and how everything in life should go. And it is the letting go of all those things that actually brings us a sense of openness to feel more peace, but to allow more ideas and inspiration and creativity and solutions to actually flow into our lives. The less tense and rigid we are and more open, the greater things can change in our lives. It's not giving up, it's about giving way. It is about surrendering our ego identity to embrace our higher self, to celebrate and to acknowledge, that higher spirit and power and that wisdom. We all heard that phrase, let go and let God. And that's what that surrender is really about. Let go and let God. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you just want to open a space and let go of this tension, to allow something greater to come forth. So everyone just take a deep breath. And just in a quiet whisper say, I let go and let God. Together, I let go and let God. Take a deep breath and really let go. Feel yourself letting go. I let go and let God. And so that's surrender. The second step is to believe. We've heard these powerful statements, well, the mind can conceive and believe it will achieve. All things are possible to those who believe. Jesus said, he who believes in me shall do the works that I do and even greater things than these. And what he was saying is, if you believe in the Spirit of God in you, the way I believed in the Spirit of God in me, through that Spirit, we shall do those things and even greater. And how many people agree? Believing is a powerful thing. It absolutely makes a difference. And then, I love that story in the book of Mark when the father of the epileptic son, after he was healed, Jesus said, didn't you believe? He said, I believe, Lord, but please help my unbelief. And I bet every one of us has had times in our lives where you wanted to believe, but a part of you didn't really believe. I bet every one of us has had time where we've lost our faith, or at least our faith was running several quarts low, and we weren't quite feeling it the way we wanted to feel it. And one of the messages of that for us is that we have to keep working on our faith, keep working on our consciousness, keep feeding the mind and immersing our mind in God. I say we always kind of get spiritual amnesia. There are all kinds of spiritual truths that we know that we don't always believe because we don't allow it to come into us. Like that I am created in the image and likeness of God. I am the temple of the living God. I can do all things through God who strengthens me. All things are working together for my highest good. These are all spiritual truths, but we don't always believe them, because we forget them and need to be reminded. And we have to build our belief and rebuild our belief and continue working on it. Jesus prayed multiple times a day. All the great spiritual guides and sages prayed multiple times. And why would they pray multiple times? Because they wanted their consciousness so clear and at one, that Spirit was right there and available, that they were one with it, that it was easy to believe. They didn't have to try hard to believe because they were so immersed in that oneness and that availability and access to Spirit that was right there. Jesus believed that anything he needed would be met in the moment of the need. I was always amazed. He had no job, he had no bank account, he didn't have a lot of stuff, but knew in every moment whatever he needed would come forth. because he cultivated that belief on a regular basis. And this is something we've got to do daily because we get hooked into holding on to stuff, and so we need to keep building that belief, keep building that faith, because sometimes the appearances will freak us out. Even though we've done a million things and come through them and had lots of faith, sometimes some big thing will scare us, and we need to keep working on our faith. We aren't doing anything wrong. It's a part of the journey, but you have to keep at it. The next one is to forgive. One of the greatest blocks to peace of mind and feeling a connection with God is when we hold on to resentment, hold on to grudges, or bitterness, or blame, or regret, or hatred. Our unwillingness to forgive, our unwillingness to let go of the past, our unwillingness to stop talking about it all the time is one of the greatest detriments and a level of self-harm that we can actually do. Sometimes we think we need to know how to forgive. You don't need to know how to forgive. The question is, are you willing? So who in your life are you holding a grudge or holding something negative or having some regret or guilt or shame about? And the question is, are you ready and willing to let it go? Are you ready and willing to free yourself from the past? Are you ready and willing to let go of the hurt? But no, are you ready to be free and stop using it as an excuse? Because sometimes when we keep blaming and holding on to resentment, it's actually stopping us from actually living and taking full responsibility for our lives. Forgiveness is one of the most liberating because it gets rid of the toxic emotions and feelings that we end up holding in ourselves. And the next one is to ask. The reason most people don't get what they want is because most people don't know what they want. You ask somebody what they want, say, I'm not really quite sure. What do you want? Well, I really don't know. I haven't really thought about it. And, when it says ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and the door will be open to you, there's a presupposition that you're taking time to think about what you want to ask for. To think about what your heart wants you to seek, what your soul is calling you to do. And sometimes we're so busy in our life, we actually don't sit back and think, what is it that I want? What do I want to create? What do I want my relationship to look like? How is it that I want to show up better in my life, in my work? It's all available to us. I love the thing is that we have been created in the image and likeness of our Creator. That means we're creators. A part of our responsibility here is to create. It is to get an intention and a vision and goal, because that's how we bring forth more good, not just into our lives, but into our community and our world. And so now we'll do the last three that we didn't do last week. And the first one is to give thanks. This is an important part of the process. Jesus, with the loaves and fishes, there's not enough food for a lot of people. And the first thing he did, after he had them just calm down and sit down, was to give thanks for what was there. Often in a crisis, when there isn't enough or there's a problem, we'll put more focus on what we don't have and what isn't working and forget what's actually there. Not only did he give thanks for what was there, he gave thanks in advance that a solution would come forth. Instead of complaining and moaning and whining, he actually used gratitude and thanksgiving to acknowledge the good and gratitude and thanksgiving to open a path to allow the solution to come forth. Could you imagine if something in your life isn't working well and you gave thanks in advance that the solution was coming? Wouldn't that be a powerful thing for all of us that would help us? There's so many wonderful scriptures that mention how powerful it is for us to pause and give thanks. In 1 Thessalonians it said, in all things give thanks, for this is God's will for you. In Philippians it says, when you pray and make your request known to God, do it with thanksgiving. That even when you ask, do it from a place of thankfulness. Every time we take things for granted and we don't appreciate, we do two things where we hurt ourselves. We can't see the good in our lives in the moment, so we rob ourselves of the current momentary joy of seeing, enjoying, and appreciating how much we have. We often will let one single thing ruin our lives. If there's a relationship, we're having some conflict, we think, well, there's no love in my life. We have one problem, man, I'm going through we do that all the time. We make one thing the boss and forget all the blessings that are going on and deprive ourselves of momentary happiness. And then the other one is, gratitude is an attractive creative energy. So the more we're grateful for, the more we open ourselves to attract more. So not only do we rob ourselves in the moment of enjoying, we actually rob ourselves of possibly attracting even more good things to be grateful for in our lives. So what are you grateful for right now? Who are the people you're most grateful for? Because just putting that energy out, and yeah, there's some days it's tough, and you still got to do it, because it will help. It will expand our mind to how blessed and how much goodness and abundance is around. And the more we know that there is abundance and goodness around, the more we can have the faith to believe that more goodness and abundance is still to come. So the next one is to bless others. One of the best ways to help yourself is to help somebody else. Zig Ziglar said, you can have anything you want as long as you help enough people to help get what they want. And there's a quote, and I don't know exactly, it's by Emerson, but it says one of the sweetest compensations in life is that you cannot help someone else without helping yourself. There is this reciprocal energy that when you go beyond yourself to help someone else and put that good energy in the world, it circulates and not only brings more good energy to you, but it brings more good energy in the world. That there is something reciprocal and magical because we're connected. It is the law of cause and effect. It is the law of attraction, that what we put out, that good things will come back to us. As tempting it might be to want to wish negative things on someone and only good for us, that doesn't really work. You know, that dirty so-and-so, let's get what it is. Oh, give me peace and love and success and all. You know, we're all one. We come from the same source. We're connected. So it's important to uplift others because it uplifts us, but it also uplifts the world. The more good we can put out in the world, it not only helps others and ourselves, but it just brings an energy of positivity around to all of us. The happiest people I know are people who are giving and helping one another on a regular basis. The happiest people I know are the ones who are generous and giving and thoughtful towards other people. When we get too insular, it actually closes us off and limits our good. But the more we can share and give and bless others, even if we don't know them, sending a blessing, to other people is a powerful thing. And then the last one is to dedicate our lives to our spirit. How many people like to live a more spiritually centered life? Okay. And how many people here have ever been too busy to pray? Okay. Deepak Chopra once said, if you're too busy to pray once a day, pray twice a day. And so, we always say we want to live a more spiritually centered life, but we never have enough time, to meditate. We never have enough time to take a class or study or do some of the things that we want to do. We'll do some, but we don't always make it a priority and fully immerse ourselves and commit ourselves to a daily spiritual practice to nurture our soul. A daily spiritual practice to listen to that still small voice and make ourselves open and available to it. It says, seek ye first, and all these things will be added unto you. But we sometimes run like chicken with our head cut off, trying to find answers and solutions in a whole bunch of different ways when we have the greatest source 24/7 available to us right here, right within ourselves. And the question is, how committed are we to using it and to make our daily regular practice? Eric Butterworth says that we are the ones who undermine our own success by not tapping into the very source that would make all success possible. And so those are the 7 steps. So let's practice it now. So let's close our eyes. Everybody take a deep breath. Know that you live in a friendly, abundant universe, that you are created by God, and there is so much good available for you. God isn't withholding anything. It's all available. All things are possible. So one deep breath. And let us just begin by surrendering. Let's stop fighting and struggling. I want you to let go of any stress or worry and anxiety and just let it all go. Let go of the need of control and just surrender to God. Just trust that God loves you. Trust that that chair will support your body right now, but trust that God's supporting you even more than that chair. I surrender. Just a whisper, say that together. I surrender. Deep breath. Feel your mind relaxing and letting go. One more deep breath. Feel your mind relaxing and just surrender and let go and let God. And know that the more you let go, the more you open a space for God to heal, to bless, to flow, and to help you be a greater channel for more light and love. I surrender again. Deep breath. Okay. And now it's important for us to believe. To believe that greater things in our lives and our world are possible. To believe that God has a plan and a purpose for our lives. To believe that we are worthy of all forms of good. To believe the kingdom of God is within us. I believe. Quietly to ourselves. I believe. Take a deep breath. Expand your belief. Even though there might be some unbelief, celebrate your belief and expand your willingness to believe that you are connected to the living Spirit of God. To believe that you are an expression of God and God's got you right here and now. And you can open up to even more. I believe again. I believe. Deep breath. And now we want to forgive. If there's anyone in your heart you're holding ill will to in any form, just bring them into your mind now. See them encircled in God's light. And just send them love as best as you can. And just be willing to release them. And be willing to release yourself. Whatever the pain or the mistake or the hurt was, can you just be willing to let it go? Be willing to give it to God. Be willing to free yourself from the past. I forgive. Quietly to ourselves. I forgive. Deep breath. And can you just hand it over to God? Cleansing, purifying your heart, your mind, your body. Dissolving all that negativity so there's only pure light. And now we've expanded our channel to be clear. I want you to ask. I want you to think of even just one thing you would like to have or feel or create or enjoy in your life. And I want you to see it as best as you can. I want you to think it. And I want you to feel it. What does it feel like to have the very thing that you're seeking right now? Make it as real as possible. Believe that you've received it. Run it over a few times. Connect with that wonderful feeling of having it a few times. I want you to feel worthy of it. I want you to accept it and to celebrate it. It is the Father's good pleasure to give it to us. Are you willing to receive it? So see it and feel it one more time. Now what I want you to do is just let it go. And let it go in faith. Let it go in joyful anticipation that by this exercise you've set the intention and set the universal forces together in motion to bring it about in its right and perfect place and time and its right form that might be even better than what you have held. Open that space for it and release it to God. And now we give thanks. First, I just want us to give thanks for the gift of life. Because even with all the little bumps and ups and downs, it's a cool and amazing thing to be alive. Give thanks for all the lessons we've learned. Give thanks for all the breakthroughs and the healings we've had. Give thanks for all the successes and the love. Give thanks that you're here today. And give thanks in advance that more good's coming. And let's just say yes to life. Yes to all the good that this year is going to bring us. Yes to healthier relationships. Yes to greater fulfillment and clarity and peace. With grateful and full hearts, we just give thanks for life and open ourselves to all the good that is still to come. I give thanks. Quietly to yourself. I give thanks. Deep breath. And now I bless. I want you to bless everybody in this room that they get what they want. The same way you want what you want for you, I want you to want for everybody that they experience. their goals, their dreams, their desires. Know that there's enough for all of us. And in fact, the more others get good, the more good comes to us. The more we all celebrate and have breakthroughs in life, the better for all humanity. Because we're all God's children. We all deserve peace, love, and abundance. We all deserve love. And there really is enough for everyone. The greatest way to spread more love and goodness is to wish more goodness upon all people. I bless everyone together. I bless. Take a deep breath as you expand your heart of love and goodness with well wishes for all people. And finally, let us dedicate ourselves to live a more spiritually centered life. We know that living a spiritually centered life and turning to God in all things will bring greater things in all areas of our lives. So let's make a personal commitment to put God first, to spend even 5 minutes a day quieting your mind and connecting with that living Spirit of God that makes all things possible. Let's make that commitment to let that Spirit in us shine brighter than ever before, to bless us and to help us make this a better world for everyone. We give thanks for this all, and knowing good things will come from this. Om, peace, amen. So Paul said, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds. Our minds can fluctuate and get distracted and wander, but our minds, set in a proper process, can connect to the MasterMind, to the mind of God, to access even greater possibilities and greater goodness. It's available to us, but we have work to do. Kind of reminds me of the guy that was working on his garden, and his pastor walked by and he said, hey, that's a beautiful garden you and God are working on, my brother. And the guy said, yes, Father, but you should have seen what it looked like when God was working it alone. And so, and the point is that we have our work to do. All these things are possible, yes, but we have choice. We have free will, and the way we use our mind is how well we access it. And think about it. When we access this mastermind, we are accessing the intelligence that created the sun and the ocean and the waves and the mountains. That same energy and spirit intelligence is what created us and what is still and will always be available to us if we make ourselves available to it. Yes, it takes work. It works if you work it, and it takes work, and you're worth it. It will change our lives. It will improve our lives. Keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. Let us all make a commitment to live a spiritually centered life and use and tap into the power of the mastermind. God bless you all.